I think that the country is very divided.
Currently the wrong direction. Too divided.
Terrible. Open border, all those poor little girls that got murdered. It breaks my heart. And I used to be a Democrat my whole life. I voted for JFK. But now I'm voting Trump all the way.
Very much in the wrong direction. I'm very unhappy with two new wars, Ukraine, what's going on in Israel, the inconsistency of the current administration's message about Israel.
When even Democrats are hesitant to vote for their presidential nominee, then you really know that things are getting bad. And it's not just voters, guys. Even allies within the political party are now criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris and her extreme ideas, one of which is Representative Ro Khanna. Note that Khanna is a Harris campaign surrogate, and even he's hesitant to back Harris's economic plans. And guys, before we get started, thank you so much for hitting the like button. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. You really do help out the channel. You help us to grow here. We just want to get out the truth. Thank you also for sharing this video. Let's get started.
Let me tell you why I don't think a blanket tax on unrealized gain is a good thing. I mean, let's say you're an entrepreneur. You create a company. It gets to 100 million or 200 million on paper. Now, if you're taxing that, you're probably going to force that person to sell it. They're probably going to sell it to private equity. Do you really want the entrepreneurs to be forced to sell their companies to larger institutions and to decline in value? I don't think that that's what you want for a startup ecosystem.
That would be the unintended consequence. Jeff Bezos wouldn't have to do that. They're going after these very, I think the whole policy is demagoguing to go after these people that they say pay less of a tax rate than their maid does, and they have billions of dollars.
I get why, but this is not the right way to do it. And also 95% of investments in startups fail. And so you're going to disincentivize investments in those startups. But
now you got to wonder why Kamala doesn't understand something like this. Unless, of course, she changes her mind again at the last minute and backpedals on those policies. It's certainly not going to be the first time that she does it. And this is a painful truth for those on the left, a fact that will be used against Kamala Harris from now until Election Day. It's also why CNN may never invite former presidential hopeful Vivek Ramaswamy to any of their shows. So Vivek was a recent guest on CNN where he proved a very simple point. Kamala Harris has been vague about her actual positions in national issues. The reason for that is because she doesn't want anyone to be snooping around and finding out what she really thinks about all these problems. Now, guys, this includes the solutions that she's suggested prior to her being handpicked as a presidential nominee for the Democratic Party.
Vivek, but on banning private health insurance, she has said she does not believe that, and she does not believe that now. On banning fracking, she has made clear, and she did in the interview with Dana Bash, that she does not support that anymore. If evolving, or call it what you want, flip-flopping, you can call it what you want. But one second.
I can't leave that hanging. I can't leave that hanging on policy, if I may.
I understand, but I'm going to ask the question, then you can totally answer. She said very clearly that now is those are not her positions. If evolving on an issue, if evolving on a position, you can even call it flip-flopping on an issue. If that is now not allowed, if that should be, the death knell to a campaign, Donald Trump's got issues there.
So look, the reality is Donald Trump's been clear about his policy positions. With Kamala Harris, I want to be specific about this, though. Actions speak louder than words. When you brought up some claims about Kamala Harris. I want to finish that discussion. She said she didn't favor a ban on fracking now. The reality is she was one of the strongest proponents of that ban, so much so that when she was in California, she sued the Obama administration over granting fracking permits. She didn't just favor the abolition of private health insurance. She was a co-sponsor of the bill with Bernie Sanders as a U.S. Senator for Medicare for All for Americans. The reality is, when you think about the Green New Deal, she was the chief proponent, not just as a co-sponsor of the legislation, but going further and saying she would end the filibuster in the Senate to ram that through. So the reality is she can say what she wants to say now. Those are actions she has taken. Is someone allowed to evolve? Of course they are. But she deserves to explain exactly why she's changed those positions, exactly what her position is. If it's not a ban on fracking, what exactly is it? What exactly is her healthcare plan if she no longer favors abolishing private health insurance, which just 4 short years ago when she ran for president, she did? And that's the kind of scrutiny that's been missing. I think Donald Trump has received plenty of scrutiny, and I give credit to him for sitting for hostile interviews that Kamala Harris has not. But the American people and the American electorate deserve a rich policy debate that they have not had with Kamala.
And it gets to be, I guess it will be for the voters to decide how long of kind of an expiration date there is on when something is still your position, or if you believe them now on what they're saying on their position. Voters get to decide.
Poor Kate. Her face and her body language, it pretty much says it all. And the same goes for her stuttering and slurring her words a little bit, because Vivek is coming in with all these facts. And that's what we got to focus on here. We have to focus on the truth, because by then the decision lies with us. Well, guys, the great wealth transfer is in full effect. And, whether it's Donald Trump that ends up winning the election, or if it's Kamala Harris, oh God, we're in a world of a pickle, as my grandfather would say. Our freedoms are being stolen, guys. Credit card companies are out to get us. And if you don't understand the game, well, you end up getting played by the game. Now, if you're anything like me, guys, you were probably out of shape, maybe in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and just feeling like the system is just completely taking advantage of you. I remember for a long time, I could rarely ever get any time to spend with my wife. And it's kind of funny because where I used to work with a lot of married men. And a lot of those married men would always complain about their spouses as if they really just didn't even like their spouses, which is sounding like a pretty horrible situation. But that was the case for many of them. They didn't like who they were married to. But I was different. Anyway, through trial and error and through a lot of pain, I figured out how to gain freedom and also lose a lot of weight and actually get in shape. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was a game changer. To no longer be living paycheck to paycheck, figuring out how to get the credit cards to pay me, the power of a strong credit score. I pay thousands of dollars less per year for the same house as my neighbor, just because my credit is better than his is. And this is not to brag. But this is the truth. The banks are literally taking advantage of the poor. It's like the people who can least afford it, they're charging the poor what is like unofficially called a poor tax, or a tax on the poor. I'm now at a point where, number one, I don't pay for credit cards. In fact, credit card companies pay me to use their cards. And I figured out how to build a lifestyle that is just ultimately very, very healthy. I lost a tremendous amount of weight and I put on a lot of muscle. But when I was struggling, I wish I knew people who knew these things. So anyway, I decided to create a community of like-minded people who are also interested, just like me, in living better. So if you guys want to join my community, it's called the Liberty Pursuit Network. It is brand new. Come on over. I'd love to have you guys and join like-minded people. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. I read a book a long time ago, and it basically said something that was really powerful and profound to me. And it said something along the lines of, look at your 5 closest friends, and typically your income is an average of your 5 closest friends. Now, with that being said, I was kind of like thinking, okay, well, how do I find people who made way more than me so I could increase my chances of having a higher income? It only made sense, right? For less than a cup of coffee a day, for less than $1 a day, join a powerful network of people who are ready to change their lives for the better. And I will be putting a limit on this group, so get in while you can. All mainstream media has to do is give us the facts and to allow the voters to think for themselves. And yet we see all these left-leaning liberal channels like CNN defending the vice president, the same news outlet that gave Kamala Harris and Tim Walz a softball interview.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here in your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed. my value around what we need to do to secure our border. That value has not changed. I spent 2 terms as the Attorney General of California prosecuting transnational criminal organizations, violations of American laws regarding the illegal passage of guns, drugs, and human beings across our border. My values have not changed.
But then you have Kate Bolden interviewing Vivek, and it's obviously much more intense. And the guy isn't even running for office here. He's a Trump surrogate, and that's enough for CNN to be hostile towards him. But it's just kind of weird because, like, they never seem to learn that he's not the kind of guy that you want to go after. Vivek is way too sharp, and he's way too quick for that. He's a very effective speaker, and he's an excellent asset to Donald Trump, especially given how he destroyed those so-called journalists on air. Now, speaking of which, were you guys aware that the Trump-Vance ticket has done 38 interviews combined within just the last few weeks compared to the Harris-Walz ticket that has done 1? And to be honest, guys, it would be insulting to call the CNN interview as an actual interview, as most of the questions have been fielded beforehand. And what's more? Oh, they did a 40-minute interview, but they only allowed CNN to release about 18 minutes of it. That's a whole lot of editing and cutting stuff out. What are they trying to hide? Now, I want you guys to think about it this way. What would the likes of CNN, MSNBC, and all these people from mainstream media say if the tables were turned? Like if it was Donald Trump and JD Vance who did an interview on Fox News while avoiding every other network. Well, of course, they would be called names, besides being weird and all that, besides childless cat lady callers. But since these news outlets are surrogates of Kamala Harris, then it's all good. They're not worth talking about to us. Which brings me to a previous video that I did, and they're not talking about that either. So in a recent rally, another lone wolf was spotted by local law enforcement as he was rushing toward the stage where Donald Trump was speaking. Guys, make sure you guys check that video out right after this one because things got quite dramatic. Just click on the channel, go to videos, and check that video out right after this one. As always, guys, appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for liking the video and subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.